Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Chavanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you once again for being here with us for the Daily African Proverbs. We gather here every morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we've been doing this since January. For a while, we were gathering at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on Clubhouse, and we were not live streaming on YouTube. We just started live streaming on YouTube a week and a half ago. But we've been recording all the content since January, and we will be releasing it and sharing all the conversations and the interpretations of the Proverbs we share every single day. But today, and also, you know, in the recent past, I would say the last month, we've been bringing in special guests. We've brought in authors, we brought in, podcast hosts like Raphael, who is also in the audience. And today, our special guest is Ahmed Omar. And Ahmed is currently in Somaliland. And today's proverb is also from Somalia. So I'm just so excited to introduce, first of all, the proverb. The proverb itself says, "The bridge is repaired only after someone falls in the water." The bridge is repaired only after someone falls in the water. This proverb is also my latest Instagram post. You can engage with it on Instagram. My Instagram username is @OkeloJavan, and you can get to it through my Clubhouse profile. Pretty quickly, if you go to the bottom of the profile, you'll see the link to it. On YouTube, I see that we've been joined by Joan Onyango Obunga, who is an amazing supporter of the Daily African Proverbs. And I want to share my interpretation, and then I'm going to invite Ahmed to, first of all, just share with us, his story. We want to learn just a little bit about Ahmed. We want to learn a little bit about Somaliland, because this proverb is from Somalia, and Ahmed is physically in Somaliland. And I feel that this proverb also relates to a lot of things going on in the Horn of Africa, going on around the world. I feel that when we think about the current fires in California, in Greece, there are a lot of, forest fires that are completely out of control. The Amazon has been burning for a while too, Then there was the recent storm, the flooding in New York and New Jersey as a result of the storm in Louisiana. So things like climate change can also be interpreted with this proverb that says that the bridge is repaired only after someone falls in the water. Nobody is concerned about the environment and some of the actions we can take until we start seeing these bushfires and we start seeing the storms and the flooding and the natural disasters that we can't control. That's part of what came up for me when I looked at this proverb. I want you, who is in the room with us on Clubhouse, and also, if you're with us on YouTube, think about that proverb as well and prepare your interpretation, and allow me to engage with Ahmed for a moment so that we can just learn a little more about his perspective. Ahmed, could you first share with us this proverb in your language, and also share with us, where you are currently before we get into your story? Thank you so much for being here with us today, Ahmed. Ahmed, you can unmute your mic and introduce yourself, and also share with us, this proverb in your language. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Simon. I think you can hear me.
Hey, Ahmed,
yes. So
Ahmed, your sound is not very clear at the moment. Could you tap the top right corner of your screen on Clubhouse? You can tap those 3 buttons and it will give you the option for high quality audio. I just did that myself. That will make your audio sound really good.
Should I? Okay. How about now?
It's
it
so
better?
good. It's much better now. Thank you so much.
Yes. So Simon, I have this is the I don't know the Somali the Somali word for this proverb. A breach is repaired only after someone falls in the water. I have not. I think I'm missing what the translation was, because there might be some proverbs that I have not heard, or it is closely related. So I mean I understand the meaning, but I don't know what the exact how it's said in Somali, because there is a lot of proverbs in Somali in the language, and sometimes we are very oral society, and some we value a lot of the oral traditions. There is a lot of poets. We have a lot of sayings and wisdoms, and so it's not just proverbs that we use. There is a lot of types of words. So some of the even songs, and then there is stories. So I'm saying, like, I don't know exactly what that proverb is in the Somali,
Right.
because there is a lot of that we use.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I understand the translation, and that it's an indication of when there is, unless you notice the problem, you will not be able to fix or find a solution.
Right. Right. Then share with us where you are currently, and then we want to just learn a little bit about you so that I can introduce you to, the community here in the Daily African Proverbs. And also, we just want to learn. I'm really interested in the current state of things in Somaliland. So I wanted you to share with us your story and how things are over there, because when people hear Somaliland, people just think of Somalia, including myself. A lot of the time I still think that way, but I know that Somaliland is a different. I actually want you to also guide us, and this is later on, in just understanding the relationship between the two. So for now, just share with us where you are. I'm just grateful for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Simon, and I think you are given a voice to us, because every time I attend international meetings, or I attend events, or I go out of Somaliland, or even after the pandemic, or within the pandemic, the online events, it's saying where I am from is somehow political, because we are seen as Somalia, and we are actually historically and culturally even we are different from Somalia. So I currently am in Hargeisa, which is the capital city of Somaliland, and we are a nation in previously known as the British Somaliland. And I think people who understand history can understand that there is a quite distinct between Somalia, and I think even using the word Somali Somali is as ethnic, so there is a lot of Somalis. The Somalis ethnically are divided into 5 countries. So you can be a Somali and you can live in Djibouti. You can be a Somali and you can live in Ethiopia. You can be a Somali and you can live within Kenya, or a Kenyan citizen who is ethnically Somali, and also a Somali from Somalia, and a Somali from Somaliland. So someone who is Somali ethnically does not necessarily mean that he is from Somalia. So I think that will be quite a good distinction that I always make when I am in meetings, and I think will be helpful in clarifying that I am ethnically Somali and I am from Somaliland, and as well as there are people who are share the same ethnicity with me who can be from different countries. Somaliland is a quite we had like in May this year, in 31st of May, we had 2 elections, the local elections and the parliamentary elections at one time. And we had before that in 2017, we had the presidential elections. I mean, we are quite democratic country, which is somehow not known even within the East African communities. So I mean, we are quite different, and so Somaliland is that little country which is not known much in Africa, generally. So I will share more information about that, but I think I will leave at that right now.
Thank you so much. Now that you've helped us understand the distinction between Somalia and Somaliland, and also Somali, the ethnicity, and also Somalia, I want you to just share with us, your story a little bit. I just want to learn about you, what you currently do, and what was your favorite game that you played as a young Ahmed. For me, I played soccer. For a while, I played soccer, and then I also boxed. I was a boxer for a while. Just loved being, physically busy. How about you?
Yeah, I think so. I'm like I was born in 1985, and I am around 36 now, and I am an entrepreneur based in Somaliland. I used to work a lot of in the NGO sector and in the humanitarian and development sector, and it was somehow not fulfilling because many of the issues and the problems that we are struggling is not cannot be solved through humanitarian actions, and I think that's why I started working as an entrepreneur, working with different people. So I run a co-working space and an innovation hub in Hargeisa, and so that's what I do currently. I as a young boy, the same way I used to play soccer, and I still sometimes do now, although it's I'm quite heavy now. I'm not that strong at the moment, but it is actually I used to to keep myself busy all the time. And as a young boy, I have lost my father, as a young, around the age of 11, 10, and I have been the person who is responsible for the family as a young man, and I have managed to 3 of my families now are finished university. And I have been supporting the family, and also making sure that I have a good time as a young boy. So I had a good balance of started working early, But still, as a young boy, I used to manage, you know, to also play and watch football. And so a lot of my time, you know, I used to be an Arsenal fan. After a long time, I'm now also still I support Arsenal, but not as much as I used to. Now I support Barcelona, like the last 10 years. And so yeah, that's a bit of me.
Yeah, that's very, very nice. I love it. I love it. I love Chelsea myself. You know, I don't follow the Premier League as much lately, but I still love Chelsea. Um, but I want us to now learn a little bit about, you know, the history, the actual history of Somaliland. Like, how did Somaliland gain independence?
Yeah. So historically, I think it is. I find also some interesting, prehistoric details about Somaliland. So you know, the Egyptians used to come to the land of Punt, and the land of Punt, you know, is not it's not only there's a state within Somalia now that's called Puntland, but that the land of Punt was the whole of the coast of Berbera up to Maid and up to Bosaso. And so yeah, I mean there has been connections in historically in with Egypt, and they called us the land of gods. And I mean there is some mysteries, and I think it would have been good if there was some proper research and archaeologists that could have done. And in terms of speaking archaeology, Somaliland has one of the like oldest prehistoric cave paintings, which is called Laskel. It's now a tourist attraction, which is very close to Hargeisa, 1 hour, and a half. But it doesn't receive a lot of attention from international because obviously the whole country is not even known much. And so apart from that prehistoric, ancient, historically, which is not actually as much documented, but there's a bit of pieces, you could find around this land. So, in the British, have been the colonizing Somaliland. I think historically, like speaking, the before the Turkish, the more formal, government state type of independence was the independence from the British, and we were the first to get. We got 26 June 1960. Somaliland got its independence, and the first revolts against the British movement started in 1912, and the dervish. So there was the dervish wars that they call it Man Mullah. He was the leader who started in the revolts against the British in Somaliland, Sayyid Muhammad and Abdullah Hassan, and he had organized a whole army who was fighting the British, and because they knew the land very well, they put the pressure on the British to stay up to Berbera. So so it was quite quite difficult for the British to occupy and expand their rulings in Somaliland. They didn't manage. It was not easy to collect taxes. They could not easily start education or their systems. There was a lot of opposition from the British, from the Somaliland, because of this early engagement from the Marmula. And as a result, during his defeat, he was the first guy in Africa who has been attacked with an airplane. So the first airplane that has been, used as a warplane was done in Somaliland, and I think after the defeat of it was in 1925, I think, something like that. But as soon as the Second World War as soon as the Second World War finished, I mean, the same, this has increased, as you know, in across Africa. There was a lot of people who were fighting with the British army, in different parts. And when they came back to Somaliland, they have caused. I mean, the revolts have increased, and the pressure has increased. And so, I mean, when the British ruling was I think getting difficult, was they have given some the reserve area. It was called the reserve area. It's the area that was previously part of British Somaliland that has been given to Ethiopia. And so it was 1955, 1954, I think. And then some delegations went from Hargeisa to London to meet with the British Parliament, and also speak with the Queen as well, I think. And their efforts has not been successful. That land has been taken away from Somaliland, and that has even caused. It was one of the reasons that has caused the 1977 war between Somalia and Ethiopia, because of this land where the British gave to some part of Somaliland to Ethiopia. So I think in 1960 Somaliland started got its independence on the 26th of June, and 5 days later, I think this is where I think we have made a mistake historically in Somaliland. As a state, we got the independence, and because of we were called the unionists in the south, because we wanted the whole of the Somali countries to Somali ethnicities, because since we were the first people who got their independence from the British, as soon as in the 1960s, we wanted also the same for other Somalis, and so there was an agreement to have the independence of the Somalis as one state. So also I think that idea is also, some people say it's from the Italians, who said, who has inspired some people from the south, to have that 5 states in one state. I mean, the idea somehow is not. I mean, it's not that clear on how it started. But nonetheless, that there was that ambition, and people were thinking, why not unite for all Somalis to have one state? And so that the idea. After that, the parliament in Somaliland has voted to join Somalia. So, I mean, that joining, I think I'm not that legal expert, but I think some people know about, say, when they comment on that union, it was not, formalized, and it was not even passed later when the 2 states were joining, the Italian Somalia and the British Somaliland. That was not even done properly. And as soon as the union started, as soon as the union was made, and I think there was even some. I saw some journalists from the UK that say the colony that refused freedom. That was one of the headings on the 26th June of 1960, because we wanted to unite with the rest in the south first, and then to get the rest of the Somali. So I think that's a common understanding among people in Somaliland, that we had made a mistake at that time. And I mean, as soon as the union happened, there was clear, differences between the two people from the south and the north. there has been misunderstandings because Somaliland was a state, and they wanted fair, so if we get the president, there was not equal, because they just thought that we are a smaller number, or that didn't actually work well, and there was a lot of oppositions in that early times. So I think, just continue on that this has continued up to a civil war, which started in 1980s, and at the time, Hargeisa in that civil war, was the first city that the airplanes, national Somali war airplanes, used to take off from the airport in Hargeisa and still bomb the civilians within Hargeisa. It was a devastating war, and I have when as a young boy, around 3 years old, I remember people fleeing to Ethiopia, and warplanes going through our us, and I think it was quite a traumatic experience, and as a child, and I think many people in Somaliland, everyone lost one person, or I mean, every family had a devastating effect on so in 1991, the Somaliland, the SNM, the National Liberating Front, has agreed to form a civilian government, and so I mean there was a conference between all the, I mean there's good lessons in terms of Somaliland and how they started peace and state building processes, and so there was a lot of conferences among the main clans, and so they started in 1991. They have decided that they would claim their independence. So that's a brief history of Somaliland. I hope I'm not the best person to to represent the whole Somaliland case here, but I think that's some ideas.
Wow, yeah.
On our history. Yeah.
You did such an amazing job. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm just so excited for all our amazing guests and friends on stage here on Clubhouse. Thank you so much for joining us. Please prepare a question, a comment for Ahmed, and also prepare your interpretation of today's proverb. We are going to open it up in 2 minutes for those of us who are on stage to engage with Ahmed and myself. And also, if you are on YouTube, thank you so much. Please make sure you also subscribe to my channel, and if you're watching this video later on after today's live broadcast, make sure you like the video and press the bell button so that when we live stream tomorrow or in the coming days, you will be amongst the first people to be notified. I am really, really grateful for this community that we are building here virtually to continue, preserving and protecting African proverbs. And when we gather here in the Daily African Proverbs room on Clubhouse and now on YouTube, we make our ancestors smile, because these proverbs were used by my mom, her parents, parents, many of our ancestors. Each one of us has an ancestor that, used proverbs at a certain time in their lives. And so this is just a process of bringing proverbs into our conversations and documenting it. All the episodes are going to be available in the African Father in America podcast. So you can catch, these conversations and spread it so that we can continue preserving and protecting our culture. That is how my brother Ahmed and I connected. Both of us are passionate about African wisdom. Ahmed, I wanted you to share with everyone who is visiting with us here on Clubhouse why African wisdom is important to you, especially in this time.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. And I think, you know, we as Africans, we have lost a lot of the grounding that we needed, and I think it's time to get inspirations from our African wisdom and the knowledge, the indigenous knowledge that we have, and also I mean, go back to our roots and also find ways to extract meanings. There is a lot of leadership, potential, and a lot of lessons that we can learn from just looking at the oral stories that our fathers have told us, when we were young, or for those of us who are back in home. I mean, we still have access to that knowledge. Everyone in our elders, and the knowledge is spread among the people. So it is the attention that we give, and also the lessons that we need to learn to extract from those meanings, and also live by that. So I think I would leave at that, and I think we understand we need to learn and also leave the legacy for the future, and also make sure that we are contributing to that consciousness.
Wow, thank you so much. Last question, then I'll introduce Karen. Do you have your favorite proverb that you want to share with us, or your favorite saying or quote or riddle? Share with us something, please. Ahmed, are you there? This is Simon speaking. I just want to make sure you heard my last question. I was asking whether you can share with us your favorite proverb or saying from Somaliland.
Yeah. I thought you were speaking to Karen, so sorry. I think my favorite one is, I have a lot of favorites, but and I think there is one called, it's a bit long in terms of Somali. I would say that anyway. Waraan hadimaha qodin, haddaad qodidna ha dheerayn, ku dhici doonteena mooyaane. That means, when you are fighting people, or when you want to take revenge, don't go deeper, or don't dig a big hole on the land, just in case that you might fall in that as a trap later. So it means don't go excessive in dealing with people, whether it's your enemies or other people. This might affect you again in the future. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so that's my favorite.
Thank you so much. I'm just so grateful that you made the time for us to do this today. I would love to have you again soon. My hope is that we can collaborate more. So we'll connect again and make something even greater happen. I feel that it's really, really important for us to collaborate with our brothers and sisters from across the world, not just within Africa, but from across the world. So for me, it's really special that you are in the motherland, in Somaliland at the moment, and we are speaking together. That's, for me, that's like, very satisfying. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to build with you, Ahmed. I'm grateful. I do want to now introduce the guests that we have on stage so that they can share with us, a comment, a question, or just their interpretation of today's proverb. The proverb we are discussing is from Somalia. It says, "The bridge is repaired only after someone falls in the water." And we had a special guest who is currently in Somaliland, Ahmed. And Ahmed has shared with us so much. He shared with us his story. He shared with us the history of Somaliland. And he also shared with us, his favorite quote. I think it was a proverb. Now, I want to introduce my brother Ivnea so that Ivnea can actually help me introduce all our special guests on stage. Ivnea knows how to do that because he's a big contributor to the Daily African Proverbs, and he's also an author of an amazing book that I am currently reading. Ivnea, thank you for being here. Please go ahead and introduce Karen and Faline and our brother Raphael. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brother Simon, for, I don't know if you can hear me. Hello?
Oh, my brother, I hear you very well. And I also realize that you might also have thoughts that you want to share on this proverb, as well as, just feedback to Ahmed. So feel free as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brother Simon, for the opportunity, and grand rising to our African fathers, mothers, and sisters and cousins in the room today. I'm so honored to be here. And this has been my morning breakfast for several weeks now. I enjoy this club so much. And Brother Ahmed, I just got in a bit late and I heard you speak about Somalia. And I admire the rich history that that we share. I am originally from Haiti. I am a resident of Tulsa currently, but I'm a product of Haiti, and I am part of the motherland, and I am from the motherland. And this proverb this morning, as I was looking at it, it's very deep. When I saw the word bridge, I was forced to think about that word for a minute. When I travel the country, when I travel the state, I see bridges in a lot of places. And that makes me realize that a bridge is very important. It's a very important component in connecting things. A bridge is repaired when someone falls into the water. And I want you to imagine something. What bridge do we have, or what bridge are we building? And that we want to make sure that people don't fall into the water from this bridge. A bridge is a structure built to span a physical obstacle, like we say in the proverb, a body of water, a valley, a road, a rail, without blocking the way underneath. We build a bridge to provide a passage over the obstacle. And the obstacle is something that is usually difficult or sometimes impossible to cross. What bridge should we be building? If we have to build a bridge, why? And I talk a lot about the divide that we have created as human. How can we build a bridge strong enough to save this planet, to save this world, to save us? Are we going to wait for us to fall? Are we going to wait for the human society, for humankind to fall into the water before we repair this bridge, before we fix it, before we fix the mess. And I'd like to underline just a few things before I introduce my next speaker, Karen. In order for us to build this bridge, we must first acknowledge that it is important to love.
This is Simon. My phone just died again. I need to get a new phone. But the clubhouse conversation is still going on, and I'm going to bring us back very fast. Forgive me.
Each other to coexist with us. The essence of man is to preserve the existence of the entire living race. Because we cannot preserve the existence of our brothers and sisters without hanging on to the dictates of goodness, love, and peace. No man is an island. We have to coexist peacefully. And again, going back to love. Love heals all wounds. For us to make sure that this bridge is built the right way, it has to be built with love. It has to be built on love. Why? Why? Because love trumps hate. Therefore, love trumps the divide we have created. And why should I care? And why should you care? And I want you to look around you. And I want you to look inward, inside of you. The division is hurting us in more ways we can ever imagine. Everyone is in danger of getting hurt because we differ from others. We must close this chasm. We must get back and seeing everyone as an extension of ourselves. Only this way, and again, only this way, we can guarantee our safety and happiness. This begins with you. Begins with you, Karen, with you, Raphael, with you, Lexi, with you, Bibi, with you, Jacob, with you, Simon, with you, Ahmed, and everyone else in the audience. All of us as an individual, on an individual basis. We have a bridge to build. And we should not, and we must not wait for that bridge to crack. We must not wait the opportunity to repair this bridge. Let's build this bridge together. Let's connect this bridge together. Have the difficult conversations, even when they hurt. This way we can build a bridge to connect with our fellow humans the way we're intended to. Without further say, let me introduce our next speaker, Karen Rose. And I love this quote from Karen. If you want to touch the past, touch a rock. If you want to touch the present, touch a flower. If you want to touch the future, touch a life. This is what we're trying to do here in this club. When we talk about the wisdom of our ancestors, we don't only make them smile, but sharing those wisdom, sharing those words will touch lives. I know this because my life has been touched by just being here, listening, sharing value. Karen, please share with us this morning your interpretation of today's proverb. A bridge is repaired when someone falls into the water. The mic is yours.
Yeah, we lost Karen. I think Karen, you could just introduce Raphael. Even thank you so much for your help. And
Karen,
yeah, Karen is not in the room anymore. I think she might have pressed the.
Karen, are you there?
Even this is Simon speaking. Oh.
We must be having some technical problems.
No. Even Karen must have pressed the wrong button. She's no longer in the room.
Oh,
yes. So I'm.
Raphael.
Yes, go ahead and just briefly introduce Raphael.
Raphael, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize that she had dropped. So let's go ahead and introduce our friend, Raphael, the White Label American. I like that title. So Raphael is a podcaster, host of the White Label American podcast. And Raphael, please share with us today your interpretation of today's proverb. A bridge is repaired only when someone falls into the water. The mic is yours, my friend.
Greetings, everybody. Thank you for having me on the platform as always, Brother Simon. And special greetings to my brother in Somaliland, Brother Ahmed. You're the first person from Somaliland that I've had contact with. It was in the early 90s that late 90s that I first heard of Somaliland. One day while browsing on the AM news, I think it was BBC World News or Africa Today. And I was like, oh, there's a country called Somaliland in Africa. That's fascinating. And then I also heard of Puntland. I think somebody was fighting, or one of the um, political leaders was trying to change the name to Puntland, and it never worked out. And I completely forgot about all that. So while you were talking, it just took me down memory lane, and I decided to go on the internet, just search on the internet, and it looked like I was literally reading from history books while you were talking. You are proof that people from that part of the world, you guys are great orators. About 3 weeks ago, I came across an article that talked about how Somalis. I don't know if you guys. I don't know if you're offensive to people from Somaliland. I don't know if you also call yourselves Somali, but um, you guys have that power of poetry and use poetry for everything. And you can declare war. You can make people go to war with poetry. You can make people celebrate with poetry. You can make people do anything with poetry. And I was like, this is some serious oratory skills that you guys have. And just listening to you talk, I even put it on the YouTube channel that you are proof that you have oratory powers. So thank you for the history lesson. I could listen to you all day. That's my satisfaction right there. And you made me learn a whole lot of stuff that I did not plan to learn this morning. So you've made me a much better person than I was yesterday. And I will make sure to add Somaliland. I will add more learning on Somaliland to my repertoire of information that I adopt and I adapt every day. I know people from Somalia. I have met a couple of people from there, but I haven't met anybody from Somaliland. So it's my great pleasure to hear from you. So just sending flowers to you today. Love you. I love everything that you said. Today's proverb is literally just growing up in Nigeria, man. And yesterday I interviewed the Kikombe. I'll be having this episode next month. And some of the stuff we talked about included referred to what this proverb touched on, and I'll just give two examples. So last week there was one of the kidnappings in northern Nigeria. A bunch of children were returned back after the families confirmed that they paid a ransom. And the ransom included, part of the report said that the school where the children were taken from, were kidnapped from, they include the school sold part of their land, and then the families, because these are not middle class, but these are below middle class, poor families. They're poor. That's just basic. They're poor, sold up their properties and all that, put money together and pay the ransom. Some gave motorbikes and all that. But included in the details was the selling of school land. And that's what caught my attention, because there's a reason why I always say it's in the small details. And if the school sold land, that means somebody bought the land. You know that the school was selling land. But nobody talked about that. It was just like, oh, they sold land and they bought, and then, there were guys who kidnapped, got money, released children, no child was harmed, celebration, yay. And when I remember my secondary school, I attended the public secondary school for my final years. With all the public schools in Nigeria they're always on a large plot of land, big plot of land. The beginning was good, it's always like you have the school buildings or certain areas, like the land, that the empty land can be used for agriculture, can be used for sports and all that things. But with time, you start noticing that a house starts to appear somewhere. So farmland is cut. Why is a house on school property that's not like a house for housing teachers? It's a private house. So for you to get to your house, you have to go to the school gate. That house is not supposed to be there. That land actually was not meant for housing, for residential building. But somebody somewhere sold that house. But we don't talk about it, It's everybody mind your business. Mind your business. And then before you know it, another house, two houses, three houses, that land has been sold. The land keeps going, and then before you know it, there's no space for children to play sports. There's no space for children to do farming. And down the line, then someone will now, 20 years later, these damn youths, look at them. The youths are useless. Youths are this, youths are that. But when someone was selling the land back in the days, and then it's now a private company now shows up and starts building what is called foundations, academies for sports to take place for profit, which is what happens in America mostly. And then we now say, yeah, we need to give our kids an outlet to play sports. We need to give our kids, but these were things that somebody had thought of back then. No matter how I dislike all the colonial people, I dislike all the religious bodies that own schools, that was something that someone had done well. But somebody now decided to start cutting into that land, damaging what was supposed to be a bridge for the community. And you sold it, you gave it out, little by little, and then decades later, it now backfires, and then we're now like, oh, how did it get here? Who caused it? So now you're not trying to repair something that you could have not allowed to get to this stage. So now someone has fallen into the water, and you're like, oh, how did it? Oh, now let's go start repairing. But you don't teach your grandmother how to eat boiled eggs. That's what my English teacher always said. Now we are finding out. Another example I would give is the person who's current president of Nigeria today. In the late 90s, he was mid-90s. He was made he had served. He was military president in the 80s when he planned a coup, and he got a coup also happened to him, and he was taken out of office. And then he's one of the worst dictators we had, who was his boy, made him put him in charge of an agency that was supposed to spend excess crude oil money. And they were like on the national news, you saw them building roads, building bridges. Bridges was like a big thing for them, but it was only one part of the country that kept getting bridges. But in my neighborhood, his agency supposedly put a bridge, because they put a sign. That's how I always remember that agency. And I was between the ages of 16 and 18. They put a sign saying this bridge was built by this agency for you. That bridge was just literally a plank. So you had to learn how to, if you weren't good at balancing act when you walk. If you couldn't balance yourself while walking on that plank, you fall into the little stream that was underneath. And nobody complained, it was all good. Everybody was like, okay, keep going, keep going. If you were blind, you had a walking stick, well, go find another way. If you're on a wheelchair, go find another way. Any other thing that is your business. Until the chairman of the neighborhood community one day tried to walk on that plank and fell into the stream. And then that's when, as we say, they get bust, they get happen. Because now, big man has been affected, which is how most things happen in Nigeria until it affects the big man. You know the road is bad. Fix this road. You won't fix the pothole. You fix this, you won't fix it until your child gets an accident there, ends up in hospital. And like, why? Then that's when that place, within days, weeks, they start working on that road. Must it always be that, you know, everybody can suffer, everybody can die, everybody can be harmed by that, but you don't care because you have the power to make everybody's life easier. You won't do anything until it directly affects you. Then you now be like, oh, I'm gonna make a change. Why do we have to do that? But that's how we grew up. That's how we saw a lot of things, and that's how we ended up where we are, and that's where we that's where things are right now in Nigeria. So a lot of things, not everything, but a lot of the things. So that's where this program took me to, and that's what I saw. So yeah, I remind people, if you have the opportunity to do something right, do the right thing. Don't wait until you fall into the water, because yeah, if you have the opportunity, just you know what to do. All right, I've had my time. Thank you for the opportunity, and shout out to you again, Brother Ahmed. Bless, best of wishes to everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Ivna, I'll pass you the mic so that you can carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Raphael, the white label American. Thanks for sharing. We're now going to introduce our next speaker, Lexi. Lexi, I did hear you speak before yesterday, so I know you're gonna have something great for us. Please share with us today, Lexi, your interpretation of today's proverb. A bridge is repaired when someone falls into the water. The mic is
Yes,
yours.
thank you. And good morning. Grand rising to everyone in the room. So grateful to be in this space with you all. My interpretation of the proverb today is a lot of times people think of bridges as a physical thing, something that you can see and touch and feel. But my way of thinking of this today was I know that we all have invisible bridges that we build personally. We have our own bridges within ourselves. Some of us have built bridges within ourselves that have led to failures. And you don't realize that you have failed until you fall through that bridge within yourself. So of course you might need to go ahead and start repairing that bridge, and you cut off. You want to let go of that part of the bridge. You don't want to repair any type of bridge within yourself that leads to failure. So you cut that part off, you block that off, and you say never to exit that way again. Don't build no bridge there no more. None of that. I don't want a bridge that leads to failure. So you start to repair when you fall through that bridge. See, sometimes falling is not a bad thing because it wake you up. Okay? So sometimes bridges are invisible, just like the bridges that we have that lead to each other, like relationships. Any relationship you have in your life, that is a bridge that you've built to that person's mind, to that person's spirit, to that person's soul, to that person's heart. When you have an invisible bridge to someone's being, one, you traveling back and forth. If you think about it, you travel back and forth on this bridge. When you talk to that person, if you call them, you've walked over the bridge to get in contact with them. When they call you, they walked over the bridge to get in contact with you. Some things happen between people, and there could be a short little disagreement. Somebody done fell. One of y'all fell. The one who disagreed and got angry, or whatever the case may be, has fallen. So you don't know that the bridge in your relationship need repair until one of y'all fall. And then that's when you can either say, you know what? I love my brother. I love my sister. So guess what? I'm going to agree to disagree with you here. And I'm not even going to allow you to fall no more. I'm going to build this bridge. I'm going to repair this bridge because this bridge is real important to me. I'm going to repair that. There's some bridges that you have with people that you've gained relationship with that sometimes you don't even fall. You start seeing holes come up in the bridge because the person is showing you disloyalty. They showing you that you know that they're not really for you. So sometimes it's a good thing that bridges are being destroyed, especially when you can't see and feel them. When you can't see a bridge, but you can feel the result of a hole in a bridge, then it's up to you to determine how you want to fix that bridge, whether you want to cut it off and put up never return, emergency, whatever word you want to use to put up to say never go over that bridge of failure or whatever. You can attach a lot of different words there. And you can say, hey, I don't ever want to pass that bridge again. I don't ever want to go over that bridge. So I'm going to repair it, but I'm going to take it in a new direction. I'm going to take that failure to success. I'm going to take that sadness to happiness. We got bridges that is built to sadness. We have got to repair those bridges. We have got to repair all of them bridges that we have internally. All of them bridges. If you have somebody in your life that you have not crossed that bridge and reached out and talked to them, but you know you need to, or they might have done something that you didn't like, or whatever the case may be, cross that bridge because tomorrow ain't never promised to no one. So cross that bridge. Whether you think you'll like the result or not, and even if you like the result or not, you know you crossed that bridge and you did something for yourself, not for somebody else. Sometimes we don't cross a bridge to do anything for another person. We're not crossing that bridge for them. We're crossing that bridge for us because that maintains me. That brings me to a higher frequency so that I can give back to this world in a way that is in a positive form. We got invisible bridges, y'all. Pay close attention to the personal invisible bridges in your mind and where they're leading you to. And if you haven't fallen in that bridge yet, but I'm waking you up today to recognize some of them bridges that you have, start repair on them, start cutting them off, start recognizing and cut them. You ain't even got to let yourself fall. You ain't even got to let yourself fall. Because now you know, oh, I got that invisible bridge. You right. Something's holding me back from what I need to do. Letting my voice be heard. Finally, I had a bridge. And that bridge, I'm almost 40 years old. That bridge was a bridge to my voice. I had never crossed that bridge. I was always quiet in rooms like this. I wouldn't say a word. I would just sit and listen. But somebody in another room that I listened to said, they opened up a bridge for me. I didn't have to fall. Somebody opened it up and said, take your turn. And that's what I started doing. I built a bridge from no voice to my voice. And then I built another little bridge over to taking my turn because I do have something for this world. I know I do. So I'm building that bridge in my mind, in my spirit. And that bridge, it can be built between all of us. I'm building a bridge with Simon right now. I'm building a bridge with Ahmed right now. I'm building a bridge with Yebna right now. I'm building a bridge with myself right now that never was there before. And guess who can't see it? You can't see it. I can't see it. But I bet you can feel that bridge that I'm building right now, can't you? I bet you can feel it. I'm Lexi, the voiceover artist, and I'm out.
Wow. Lexi, Lexi. I hope one day I get to write a book with you. Wow. I'm so happy that I'm on this bridge. We're building this bridge together, and I'm happy to hear these words this morning. And wow. Let's go ahead. We're going to introduce our next speaker, Jacob. Jacob, please share with us on this lovely Labor Day morning your interpretation of today's proverb. The mic is yours.
Thank you, Ivan. Can you guys hear me? I just want to ensure that you guys can hear me so that I don't get to speak to myself over here. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, my brother.
Thank you so much. My name is Jacob Ayo. Um, I'm glad to be here again, once again to be here. And today's proverb, a bridge is repaired only when someone falls into the water. When I was hearing every speaker speak, the words that I could take home were building bridges. At least that phrase could come out of everyone's, presentation, building bridges. And I found myself going to the dictionary to, check up or look up the meaning of building bridges. And some of the meanings that I took home were to foster good relationships, to support friendly relations between hostile groups, to help restore a friendly relationship after a disagreement, to improve relationships between people who are very different or do not like each other, to build a compromise between reconciliation groups of people, and to try establish a happy relationship between opposition parties. A bridge is repaired only when someone falls into the water. I believe this is a Somali proverb, and I have seen a number of times, or I've experienced a number of times, relationships where people take pride, or rather, people allow pride get into themselves when it comes to reconciliation. I read this proverb, and the first thing that came across my mind was reconciliation. And honestly speaking, reconciliation is one thing that, help foster our relationships out there. And the thing is, you cannot ask people to coexist by having one-sided reasoning, or bow their heads and rely on solutions that is only good only good for one side. Reconciliation can never be one-sided. And what you can do wherever there are issues, because bridges are meant to bring people together. It might be that family relationship, it might be that work relationship. There's this saying that they always say, do not burn bridges behind you. And those bridges could be serious relationships that you really value in your life. Because I might be having a relationship with Simon, and I decide to burn that bridge because of some disagreement. But I end up forgetting that I might end up in a place whereby I will need Simon, or I might end up meeting Ahmed, and Ahmed is Simon's ally. So Ahmed tends to be Simon tends to be a bridge between me and Ahmed, and maybe Ahmed depends on Simon to make a decision that might help me. So burning bridges is one of the things that I've always never vouched for, because everyone knows that violence begets violence and breeds more hatred. We need to find our way together. I feel I cannot rely on, the various feelings that I have, feelings that claim, feelings that can speak on my behalf. I tend to suppress my feelings and think rationally to the point that I let my rational thinking take the lead. I weigh options. What is this bridge that I'm not supposed to burn? Where will it lead me to? It might not be a physical bridge. It might be an emotional bridge. It might be a spiritual bridge. And invariably, some of we have some agendas that don't work in terms of building healthy relationships amongst us. And if there's to be reconciliation, first there must be truth. And perhaps one day all these conflicts will end, and it won't be because of great statesmen that ever lived, or churches or organizations like we have today that tend to bring us together. It will be because people decided to change on their own, and they'll be like us, more of a mixture, more of people who have tranquility in their hearts. So why should we become a mongrel for no apparent reason? Why should we let our pride kill us to the point that we don't, or rather forget, forging, or rather securing the element of building those bridges? What I want to say is that a number of times in life, we make the best decisions we can with the information we have in our hands. But then again, are those decisions going to help us be in a point where we build the bridges that we're supposed to build? Is your gut leading you to the right direction, that you're going to build a bridge that will foster proper relationships? The opposite of building a bridge is division. And the most dangerous people in the world are not the tiny minority investigating the evil acts that we go through, but those who do the acts for them. Okay, I'll give an example. I'm a Kenyan, and Kenya was colonized by the British. Okay, and when the British invaded Kenya, many Kenyans accepted to work for the British. They would have been killed. Okay. If we resisted that, if we would have resisted that occupation of the British, we would have been killed. So in other words, many Kenyans were hired. We were our own enemies to kill our fellow Kenyans on behalf of the enemy's paycheck. So today we have mercenaries in Africa, corporate armies from the Western world, and maybe unemployed men through the Middle East killing their own people and people of other nations for a paycheck, to act without their conscience, but maybe for a paycheck. That will make anyone a dangerous animal. But the devil would be powerless if he couldn't entice people to do this work. So as long as money continues to seduce, the hungry and the hopeless, the broken, the greedy, the needy, there'll always be war between brothers. And every divided kingdom will always fall. And every mind divided between, many studies, many distractions, will end up confining itself to a territory that, it's clogged. I want to end by saying this proverb really teaches us reconciliation. Right now, the Kenyan economy is started, and we are headed towards 2022 general elections, and this is whereby our politicians will divide us. This is whereby we will forget that we have been brothers for the longest time possible. We've helped each other during the good and the bad times. When COVID hit, we were there for each other. We were a bridge to giving each other solutions. But then we have a common enemy, that is Mr. Politician. And the human body resonates at the same time, or rather at the same frequency as Mother Earth. So instead of only focusing on trying to save the earth, trying to save ourselves, which operates in congruence of our own vibrations, I think it is more important to be one with each other. If you really want to remedy the earth, we have to mend mankind. We have to mend those bridges that, bring us together. And we unite mankind and we heal the earth. That is the only way Mother Earth will exist, with or without us. After we are gone, long gone, what bridges are we leaving behind us? What bridges are we mending that we will end up, bringing together the children of our children that we're leaving behind? Yet, if we don't do that, if Mother Earth falls sick, it is because mankind is sick and separated. And if our vibrations are bad, if we emit bad vibes to to Mother Nature, to our descendants, Mother Nature will react to it. And so as living creatures. And nobody can ever turn you into a slave unless you allow them. Nobody can ever turn you to not being a bridge as long as you allow them. If I want to be a bridge between me and my descendants, or rather a bridge between me and Simon, nobody can ever stop me unless I allow them. And nobody can make us afraid of anything unless we allow them. Nobody will ever let us do something wrong unless we allow them. Because you know what? God never created us to be bad bridges. Man did. Man distorted our minds, and so we decided to be bad bridges. We decided to cut off our bridges. We decided to, stop being helpful to each other. God never told you to hurt or kill one another. Or man did. That is what man taught man. So why is man your God? Why not your creator? Why don't we allow us to be a bridge that bridges, good for good, a bridge that bridges where there is war, we build a bridge that will bring peace. Where there is hatred, we build love. Where there is, impatience. We cultivate patience in people, understanding. Why don't we be that, those engineers of goodwill, engineers that engineer greatness? When apparent stability disintegrates, as it must really, then we need to be the change. People tend to give in to fear, depression, to greed, to need. When no influence is strong enough to unify people, they divide, they struggle, one against one, group against group, tribe against tribe, race against race. For survival, for position, for power, they remember old hates and generate new ones. And the cycle continues. They create chaos and nurture it. They kill and kill and kill until they are exhausted and destroyed, until they are conquered by outside forces, until one of them becomes a leader and we must follow them, or a tyrant. Then we live in fear. I want to end by saying this. When two brothers are busy fighting, an evil man can easily attack and rob their poor mother. Mankind should always stay united, always be the bridge that we need to be, standing shoulder to shoulder, arm to arm, so that evil can never ever cheat and divide us. The leaders we choose today, they are bridges to our future. Be a leader by yourself and lead by example. Pick a leader who will keep jobs in your country, or be the leader who will keep your family together. Be that bridge by, offering good advice, by offering, good morals, showing by example, leading by example, so that when you're gone, in terms of crisis, people will remember the bridge you built, and people will pass through the bridge you built, and they will build more bridges from time to time to time when you're long gone, and there will be stability. There'll be no fear, no terror. There'll be peace, no chaos. There'll be love, no hate. There'll be convergence, not segregation. There'll be tolerance. There won't be any sort of discrimination. There'll be fairness. Our bridges will create fairness, substance, character, transparency, justice, and improvement and preservation of the environment we will leave behind us, full of love, joy, peace, name it. So as I finish, I just want to say, we divide ourselves among caste, among creed, culture, and countries, but what is undivided remains most valuable. A mere smile could be a bridge to eternity. A mere show of kindness and love could be a bridge to our eternity. My name is Jacob, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Jacob. You've just moved us so much, and I love everyone in this space at this moment. Everyone has been so patient, and you just shared so much wisdom with us, and I'm extremely grateful. And Ivna, thank you so much for your leadership and for introducing our amazing guests. I am so grateful, and also to the amazing community joining us on YouTube. Thank you so much for also just listening and being patient with us. Ahmed, I would love to give you the mic so that you share with us your closing remarks, because today you are our special guest here on Clubhouse for the Daily African Proverbs. Just share with us your comments in closing. But we are going to be doing a recap of today's conversation, and my brother Ivnea is going to join me to do the recap on Instagram right after this room. We are going to talk about 3 things. The first thing is what was outstanding, what stood out during today's conversation. The second thing is, what was surprising, what is it that was unexpected that we had during today's Daily African Proverbs. And the last thing is what was the biggest lesson. So see you all in just a moment. But truly, Ahmed, thank you for making the time. It means a lot. And I also learned so much from you today. Okay, the mic is yours.
Thanks, Simon, and everyone. Today was truly about building bridges. And I think for me as Ahmed, I would be speaking to you again. I would love to connect with you more in the community. I am also building a small entrepreneur community in Somaliland, and want to reach to the outer entrepreneurs based in Africa or elsewhere. So I think that was it was good learning from all. I really liked Lexi's interpretation of how bridges are sometimes not visible, and that we are all building bridges, and that we need to embrace that, and become more self-aware. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone. And sometimes building bridges is needed, and I think it's really important for people from Somaliland to have more opportunities like this, so that I'm sure many of you have said that this is the first time we're learning about Somaliland, and we are still a nation that has existed for 30 years now. Last 31st of May, when we were doing the elections, it was we have on 18th of May in 1991. It was the time we decided to reclaim our own sovereignty and to get back our nationhood. And although we have not had international recognition, we have had good relationships, and I think the world is recognizing slowly, the potential and what have our people been able to achieve, despite the turbulences around us. And I think the violence is increasing around us. There has been more conflicts happening in the last 3-4 years, and we are getting some recognition, diplomatic recognitions. Some of the people, we can travel to Kenya, we can travel to Ethiopia, we can travel to UAE and South Africa and the UK, I think, with the Somaliland passport. So this is truly an opportunity for Somaliland to be recognized, to be seen, to have to.
Oh, Ahmed, I think we lost you, but what you're saying is so important, and I'm so glad that we were able to do this today. Ahmed, I think you had something to finish, so I'll let you finish. I think you're back now. Carry on, please. Okay, I think Ahmed is probably at a place where the network is not very steady, but really I also want to thank you all as well. And yesterday I was researching a bit about Somaliland as well, and I saw that there's a lot of development going on there. It's like an oasis in the middle of a war zone. There's instability around Somaliland, but inside Somaliland, for example, there's Haas gas stations that is very common in Kenya. They are now building a lot of gas stations in Somaliland. Kenya Airways started flying directly from Nairobi to Somaliland. The Mira business depends on Somaliland now because it was banned from the UK. So most of the Mira economy that is big for Kenya actually depends on Somaliland and Somali, and they're opening relations with the Congo DRC as well, where there's another emerging market for Mira. Anyhow, I just want to thank you all for being here. Tomorrow our guest is going to be Lexi, so we are going to also learn a little bit more about Lexi, and we are going to have a similar conversation where we just go deep into one individual story and just learn a little bit more about one of our friends and contributors to the Daily African Proverbs, similar to how we do it in the African Wisdom Club, but this is just a snippet. In the African Wisdom Club, we create more time. This is like the breakfast, coffee, where we just have to, have a quick cup and then run and get things done. But truly, I want to thank you again, Ivner, as well. And I also want to go in the audience here and thank you, Johnny and Paula. Johnny, thank you for being here. Johnny is a contributor and co-creator of the Daily African Proverbs, the Kikombe as well. Thank you so much. Faline, Bibi, Jacob, Mala, Joanne, Chioma, Gulain, Naima, nice to see you. It's been a while. And David and Chris Sakwa, thank you so much for your continued support. I also see a number of new friends, Marian, Masi, Hano, Cindy. I see Elaine, as well as Khalil, Nadine, Ray, and Jaber. Thank you all so much for being here with us for this session of the Daily African Proverbs. This is an important space that we've been cultivating since January, and we want to take the rest of the conversation, the recap of this conversation, to Instagram just for 10 to 15 minutes, co-hosted by Ivnia Durosu from Haiti. And again, thank you to everyone that joined us on YouTube as well. It means a lot. We will see you tomorrow at the same time. Take good care of yourselves. Peace and love.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington.